I crossed a line on a girl's trip, thought he'd never find out. Until he vanished before the wedding, and what happened next stunned everyone. I never thought I'd be the woman who destroys her own life 3 weeks before her wedding. But here I am, sitting in our kitchen at 2 a.m., watching Soren sleep peacefully in our bed through the doorway while my guilt eats me alive. My name's Rory Thatch. I'm 29, and I design adaptive architecture. Basically, I take dead buildings and make them useful again. Abandoned factories become co-working spaces. Dead malls transform into community centers. I'm good at seeing potential where others see decay. Ironic, considering I just corrupted the best thing in my own life. Soren Kate is my fiancé. We're supposed to get married in 3 weeks. He's the kind of brilliant that makes other smart people feel inadequate. At 31, he revolutionized seabed mapping with some sonar technique I still don't fully understand, sold his first company for 8 figures, and now runs a venture that has governments calling him. He could have anyone, models, heiresses, women who don't carry darkness in their chest like a stone. But he chose me. 4 years ago, at a conference where I was presenting my first major conversion project, he approached me afterward and said, "You see spaces differently than anyone else in this room." We talked for 6 hours straight. He proposed 8 months ago with a ring he designed himself, incorporating salvaged materials from my first successful building renovation. God, I'm such an idiot. The Aspen trip was supposed to be simple. A bachelorette weekend with my bridesmaids, Vera, my best friend since college, plus 4 others. We drank too much. We danced. We laughed about old stories and made promises about the future. Then there was him. Just some guy at the club, probably late 30s, investment banker type with careful stubble and practiced charm. He bought our table rounds of champagne. His hand found my lower back while we danced. The music was loud, the lights were spinning, and for 45 minutes I let myself pretend I was someone else. Someone without a ring on her finger. Someone who didn't have the best man in the world waiting at home. We kissed. More than kissed. His hotel was 2 blocks away. I went. Not all the way, I pulled back at the last second, some shred of sanity breaking through the haze. But enough happened. Enough that when I stumbled back to our rental at 4 a.m., Vera gave me a look that said everything. "Rory." She started. "Don't," I said. "Please. Just don't." She hasn't brought it up since. None of them have. We flew home Sunday afternoon and acted like Friday night was just another blur of celebration. I tucked it away in that part of my brain where I keep all my other failures, locked it tight, and threw away the key. Except keys don't really disappear, do they? They just wait to resurface. I've been home for 5 days now. 5 days of wedding prep, of Soren asking about the trip, of me laughing and showing him the safe photos, the ones from dinner, from the spa, from the staged moments we curated for social media. He smiled at each one, kissed my temple, said he was glad I had fun. The wedding machine churns forward. Venue final walkthrough tomorrow. Last dress fitting Thursday. His parents arrive from Norway next week. Every detail falling into place while I walk around with this rot in my chest, pretending everything's perfect. Tonight, we had dinner at our usual place, this little Vietnamese restaurant where we had our 3rd date. Soren was scrolling through his phone when he suddenly looked up. "You remember Garrett? My business partner in the Singapore project?" "Yeah, of course." His wife just confessed to cheating. He set down his phone, studying his file like it held answers. 3-year affair with her yoga instructor. My chopsticks froze halfway to my mouth. Can you imagine? He looked straight at me, those gray eyes that usually hold such warmth now unreadable. Living with that kind of deception? Sharing a bed with someone while carrying that secret? The restaurant noise faded. My pulse hammered so loud I was sure he could hear it. "That's awful," I managed. He held my gaze for another beat, 2, 3. Then his face cracked into that smile I fell in love with. "Anyway, about the seating chart. Your cousin can't sit near my uncle. The thing with the boat investment went south." I laughed. Too loud, too fast. But he was already pulling up the chart on his phone, pointing at table arrangements. "Everything's fine. Everything's normal. Everything's about to shatter." I woke up at 6:47 a.m. to cold sheets and silence, not the normal kind of quiet when Soren gets up early for his morning swim. This was different, hollow, like the apartment had been holding its breath all night. His side of the bed wasn't just empty, it was pristine. The pillows still fluffed, the comforter barely disturbed. I reached for my phone to check the time, noticed his wasn't on the nightstand. His charger cord hung there uselessly. "Soren?" I called out, padding into the kitchen. Coffee maker untouched. His running shoes by the door. Car keys on the hook. Maybe he went for a walk? But his wallet was gone. His laptop too. The familiar messenger bag he takes everywhere, absent from its spot by the couch. I called him. Straight to voicemail, not even a ring. "Hey, you've reached Soren. Leave a message." "Hey babe, where'd you go? Call me back." By 8 a.m., the first prickle of worry started. He had a morning meeting with investors, he never misses those. I called his office. "Haven't seen him," his assistant said, confusion bleeding through. "He hasn't answered my emails either. Should I reschedule the Taiwanese delegation?" By noon, worry had morphed into something else. Fear? Guilt? That paranoid voice whispering, "He knows." No. Impossible. If Soren knew, he wouldn't just vanish. He'd confront me, rage at me, do something direct and decisive. That's who he is. I called his business partner. His gym buddy. His brother in Oslo. Nothing. Nobody had heard from him since yesterday evening. At 3 p.m., his parents showed up at our door. Their faces told me everything, they'd been calling him too. "Where is our son?" his mother demanded in her clipped accent. "I don't know." I woke up and, "You don't know?" His father's voice could have frozen water. "The wedding is in 6 days and you don't know where he is?" They insisted on calling the police. 2 officers arrived at 5 p.m., looking bored until they heard the timeline. Missing wealthy tech entrepreneur, wedding in a week, fiancé has no explanation. Their expressions sharpened. "Any fights recently?" the younger cop asked. "No, nothing. We were planning the seating chart last night." "Financial troubles? Threats? Anyone who might want to hurt him?" Each question felt like an accusation. His parents stood there watching me fumble through answers, their judgment heavy as lead. The older cop made calls. Hospitals had no record of him. His credit card was last used at an ATM at 11:43 p.m., maximum withdrawal. His phone last pinged off a tower near the airport. "Airport?" I repeated dumbly. "Doesn't mean he flew anywhere," the cop said. "Just means he was in that area." His mother started crying. His father demanded they check flight manifests. The apartment filled with people, Soren's friends, our friends, my mother flying in from Denver. Each person looking at me like I should have answers. My phone became a nightmare. Wedding vendors calling about final payments. Guests asking about hotel blocks. My boss wondering why I hadn't submitted the Patterson project revisions. Vera texting every hour, "Any word? I'm here if you need me." But she wasn't here. Nobody was, not really. They orbited around me, suspicious and concerned in equal measure. Day 2 without Soren. The venue coordinator called. Was the rehearsal dinner still happening? The caterer needed the final head count. My mother suggested we postpone. His mother accused me of doing something to drive him away. "He wouldn't just leave," she hissed. "Not my Soren. Not unless someone gave him reason." I wanted to scream that she was right. That I had given him reason. That maybe this was cosmic justice, him disappearing before I could disappoint him worse. Day 3. The apartment felt like a crime scene. I'd gone through everything twice, his closet, his desk, his gym bag. Some clothes missing, passport gone, but our photos still on the walls. The engagement ring he'd been having cleaned for the wedding sat in its box on his dresser. I was staring at that ring when my phone buzzed. Unknown sender. No subject line. My hand shook as I opened it. One photo. Dark nightclub lighting but clear enough. Me, pressed against someone who wasn't Soren. My engagement ring catching the strobe lights as my hand gripped his shirt. Timestamp, Aspen, 1:37 a.m. Below the image, 3 words. He knows everything. I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall, clattered to the floor, and immediately buzzed again. Another photo. This one clearer, me laughing, my head thrown back, the stranger's lips on my neck. Then another. And another. A digital slideshow of my worst moment, documented in excruciating detail. Someone had been watching. Recording. Waiting. My mind raced through everyone at the bachelorette party. Vera? No, she'd been drunk herself, passed out by 2 a.m. The other bridesmaids? But why would they? The phone rang. Unknown number. "Stop," I said instead of hello. "Please, Whoever this is, check your email. The voice was distorted, mechanical. They hung up. My laptop showed 47 new messages. All from different addresses, all containing pieces of that night. Videos now. With audio. My drunk laughter. The stranger saying my name. The sound of a door closing behind us. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to disappear. I wanted Soren to come home so I could confess everything before someone else told him. But he was already gone. He already knew. The next email had a different subject line. Your colleagues might find this interesting. No. No. But when I checked my work Slack an hour later, the damage was done. Someone had created a burner account and posted in the general channel, "Heard Rory's wedding is off. Wonder why?" With a link to an anonymous upload site. My boss called immediately. "Take the week," she said, her voice carefully neutral. "Sort out your personal matters." The whispers started immediately. I could track them through read receipts and declined meetings. Client suddenly unavailable. The Patterson project reassigned to someone else. 4 years building my reputation, destroyed in 4 minutes. Vera finally came over that afternoon, finding me on the bathroom floor where I'd been crying for an hour. "Rory, Jesus, what happened?" I showed her the photos. Her face went pale. "Who would?" She stopped. Oh God, Rory." "What?" "That night. There was this woman at the club. She kept buying our table drinks but she wasn't really drinking. I thought she was just being designated driver but she had her phone out a lot." "Who was she?" "I don't know. Some friend of Mallory's from her cycling class? Tall, short dark hair, maybe 40? I didn't recognize the description. But someone had orchestrated this. Someone who knew exactly when to strike. My mother tried to manage the wedding fallout while I dealt with the character destruction. 3 days of Soren missing had already started tongues wagging. Add in the leaked photos and suddenly I was the villain in everyone's story. Heard she cheated. He found out and left. Always thought she was too ambitious. Poor Soren. His parents had moved into a hotel but called daily demanding updates. The pie I hired took my retainer and reported nothing useful. Soren had prepared for this. Closed accounts, forwarded mail, transferred responsibilities. He'd been planning his exit for weeks. Which meant he'd known before Aspen. The trip wasn't where this started, it was where it ended. Day 5. The wedding venue called again, insistent. "Ms. Thatch, we need to know about Saturday." "Cancel it. Cancel everything." "Actually, we can't. Mr. Cade modified the contract 3 weeks ago. Only he can cancel now. And he's confirmed the space is still needed, just repurposed." "Repurposed for what?" He didn't specify. Just said to prepare for the same guest count and to have our AV system ready for a presentation. My blood went cold. What kind of presentation? He didn't say. But he was very specific about the setup. Theater-style seating, large screen, professional sound system. 3 weeks ago. Before Aspen. Before everything. I drove to the venue despite their protests, needing to see for myself. The ballroom was already being arranged, rows of chairs facing forward like a tribunal. The wedding altar replaced with a projection screen. The events coordinator avoided my eyes. He paid in full. Including a substantial tip for our discretion. Did he say anything else? She hesitated. Just that we should have security ready. And that you should receive this. She handed me an envelope with my name in Soren's handwriting. Inside, a single line. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Attendance mandatory. I arrived at 6:45 p.m. to find the parking lot full. Every car I recognized. My parents' rental. His parents' Mercedes. My coworkers. His business associates. The friends who'd stopped returning my calls. They were all here, filing into what should have been our wedding venue. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, hands gripping the wheel. Running wasn't an option, security guards stood at every exit. This was happening whether I wanted it or not. The ballroom had been transformed exactly as described. Our 150 wedding guests sat in neat rows facing the massive screen. No decoration, no flowers, no warmth. Just rows of people who'd come expecting either a wedding or an explanation. They turned when I entered. The murmuring stopped. Every eye tracked me as I stood frozen in the doorway. "Rory." My mother rushed over. "What is this? What's happening?" "I don't." The lights dimmed. The screen flickered to life. And there he was. Soren walked out from the side entrance looking like someone I'd never met. Gone was the relaxed entrepreneur I'd fallen for. This man wore a three-piece suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. His face was leaner, harder. When our eyes met across the room, there was nothing there. No anger. No hurt. Just cold assessment. "Thank you all for coming," he said into the wireless mic. His voice filled the space with perfect clarity. "I know you expected a wedding today. Instead, I need to share something important about the person I almost married." The screen behind him illuminated. A timeline appeared. Friday, October 11th, Aspen, Colorado. "No," I whispered. "My fiancée told me she was having a quiet bachelorette weekend with friends." Click. Photos appeared, our rental house, the wine bottles, the seemingly innocent setup. That was true, for about 6 hours. Click. The nightclub. Me in my dress, laughing with the stranger. At 11:47 p.m., Rory met this man. The stranger's face appeared, pulled from his social media. Stuart Voss, investment banker from New York, in Aspen for a conference. Click. Security footage from the club. Crystal clear despite the darkness. Me dancing. Drinking. His hands on my waist. At 1:19 a.m., they kissed. The footage was damning. Not a brief moment but sustained, hungry. My hands in his hair. I couldn't breathe. My mother's gasp echoed through the room. At 1:41 a.m., they left together. Exterior footage. Me stumbling, him steadying me, both heading toward the hotel district. At 1:53 a.m., they entered his hotel. Lobby cameras. Elevator cameras. The hallway outside his room. Me pressing him against the door as he fumbled for his key card. People shifted in their seats. Someone whispered, "Jesus Christ." Soren continued with the same measured tone, like he was presenting quarterly earnings. She returned to the rental at 4:27 a.m. Her bridesmaids helped her inside. Everyone agreed to keep the secret. Vera's face appeared on screen in a video call timestamp from 2 days ago. "Did you know what happened in Aspen?" Soren's voice asked. Yes, Vera admitted on the recording. "We all did. She begged us not to say anything. Said it was a mistake, that it meant nothing. The betrayal stung worse than everything else. When had he called her? How many of my friends had he interviewed?" "But here's what's interesting," Soren said, clicking to a new slide. "This wasn't the first time." My legs nearly gave out. Text messages appeared. From 6 months ago. "Me and my ex, Dylan. Miss what we had. Soren's great but he doesn't know you like I did. One drink won't hurt. We had met for that drink. Nothing happened, but the messages looked terrible out of context." Or this. Dating app notification screenshots from my phone. The profile I'd hidden but never deleted, showing last active 3 months ago. Or this. Flirty messages with a client about working late and grabbing dinner to discuss the project. Each piece of evidence meticulously documented, timestamped, presented with surgical precision. He'd been collecting this for months. Watching me. Studying my failures. "But that's not why we're here tonight," Soren said, his smile sharp as glass. "Let me show you what Rory's been hiding about her company's books." The screen shifted to financial documents. My company's logo at the top. "Rory runs a successful adaptive architecture firm," Soren said. "Or that's what everyone believes. Let me show you how she really built her reputation." Invoice after invoice appeared. Real ones first, legitimate projects with normal margins. Then altered versions. The same projects, but with inflated costs. Side-by-side comparisons showing the differences. For 2 years, Rory has been submitting fraudulent invoices to joint projects. Using my connections to secure contracts, then adding 15 to 20% padding to material costs, subcontractor fees, permit expenses. My boss stood up in the third row, her face white. The overages went to a separate account. Small amounts, $3,000 here, $5,000 there. Nothing that would trigger automatic audits. But over 24 months? A final tally appeared. $147,000 in stolen funds. The room erupted. People talking over each other, phones coming out, my career detonating in real time. "I hired a forensic accountant 6 months ago," Soren continued calmly. "When I noticed discrepancies in our shared business ventures. Every document has been verified. Every transaction traced." He clicked again. Bank statements. The separate account in my name. Deposits matching the overage amounts perfectly. But wait, he said, his voice cutting through the chaos. There's more. Vera appeared on screen again. Not a video call this time, she was walking onto the actual stage. My best friend. My maid of honor. Standing beside the man destroying me. Tell them about Aspen, Soren said, handing her the mic. Vera wouldn't meet my eyes. I helped plan it. Soren knew Rory had a weakness. When she drinks, when there's attention from attractive men, she forgets boundaries. So we arranged for Stuart to be there. You did what? The words tore from my throat. Stuart's not a banker, Vera continued. He's an actor. Hired to see how far Rory would go. To test if she'd already crossed lines or would cross them. The room went silent. Even my mother stopped crying. I've watched her hurt people for years, Vera said, finally looking at me. Steal credit for other people's work. Undermine colleagues. Use Soren's reputation while disrespecting him behind his back. When he approached me with evidence of the financial fraud, I agreed to help. The bachelorette party location was my choice, Soren said, taking back the mic. The specific club. The VIP section next to Stuart's table. The premium champagne that appeared magically. Every detail designed to create opportunity. He pulled up his phone, connected it to the screen. And here's the interesting part. The prenup Rory signed has a comprehensive infidelity clause. Not just physical cheating, any intimate contact with another person voids her claims to shared assets. The document appeared. My signature at the bottom. The clause highlighted in yellow. Combined with the fraud evidence, which has already been submitted to the authorities, Rory faces potential criminal charges, loss of her professional license, and civil lawsuits from every client she's defrauded. My legs finally gave out. I collapsed into an empty chair as security guards positioned themselves nearby, not threatening, just ready. The wedding was supposed to be today, Soren said. Instead, this is my gift to everyone she's deceived. The truth. The evidence has been sent to relevant authorities, professional boards, and affected clients. Her access to company accounts was terminated an hour ago. The apartment lease, which was always in my name, ends tomorrow. He walked closer, stopping just out of reach. You thought you were so clever. Taking little pieces, thinking I was too trusting to notice. But I noticed everything, Rory. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every small betrayal that led to the bigger ones. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and for the first time all evening, showed genuine emotion, a real smile, warm and satisfied. Perfect timing, he said, turning back to the screen. There's one more person who wants to address this gathering. Someone who's been waiting even longer than me for this moment. The screen went black. Then a woman appeared via video call. Professional, mid-30s, wearing a crisp blazer. She looked familiar but I couldn't place her. Hello, Rory, she said. You don't recognize me, do you? It's been 5 years. I'm Astrid Reeves. Your former business partner. The one you destroyed. And now it's my turn to tell everyone what you did to get your first company. Astrid's face filled the screen, and suddenly I was 24 again, desperate and ruthless. Rory and I started Rebuild Solutions together, she said. Equal partners. I had the technical expertise, she had the vision. We were going to revolutionize adaptive architecture. Documents appeared, our original partnership agreement, business registration, the early project proposals we'd written together. Then Rory discovered I was struggling with prescribed pain medication after a car accident. Instead of helping, she documented my every stumble. Photographed me at my worst moments. Built a case that I was unstable, unreliable. The room was tomb silent. My mother had stopped looking at me entirely. She forced me out with threats of exposing my addiction publicly. Made me sign away my shares for $10,000 to avoid litigation. The company we built together was valued at $1.2 million within a year. Astrid leaned forward. But Rory made one mistake. She kept everything. Every email, every document, every piece of evidence she used against me. And 3 months ago, when Soren reached out looking for information about Rory's business practices, I finally had someone who believed me. Soren took the mic again. Astrid provided the roadmap to understanding Rory's patterns. The financial fraud, the credit theft, the manipulation, it all started with how she treated her first partner. We've been building something together, Astrid continued. While you were planning your wedding, Rory, I've been contacting every client you've ever wronged. Every contractor you've underpaid. Every colleague whose ideas you've stolen. A list appeared. Names I recognized. Projects I'd claimed as solely mine. People I'd stepped on to climb higher. They've all signed with my new firm, Astrid said. Foundation Developments. We launch Monday with your entire client roster. They were surprisingly eager to switch once they saw the evidence, but that's not the best part, Soren added. He pulled up a map of the city, dots marking various locations. Every incomplete project Rory abandoned when better opportunities arose? We've acquired them. That low-income housing development you walked away from last year? We're finishing it. The community center that you said wasn't profitable enough? Already under construction. Each dot on the map was a failure I'd left behind, now being resurrected by them. And this venue? Soren gestured around the ballroom. The hotel where you cheated in Aspen? We've purchased both. This one becomes event space for local nonprofits. The Aspen property is being converted into a women's shelter specializing in addiction recovery. In honor of what you did to Astrid. The poetry of it was devastating. Every space I'd tainted, reclaimed. Every abandoned project, revived. Every burned bridge, rebuilt without me. Your company laptop was remotely wiped an hour ago, he continued. Your client files, your proposals, your 5-year plan, all legally recovered and transferred to Refoundation. Your professional insurance has been notified of pending fraud charges. Your industry certifications are under review. Security moved closer as I stood up, not sure if I was going to run or collapse. The engagement ring, Soren said, his voice softer now, almost kind. I had it cleaned to donate to charity auction. The apartment will be professionally cleaned after you leave tomorrow. Your personal belongings are already packed in boxes by the door. Take only what you bought yourself, receipts have been verified. The screen changed one final time. A live feed of our apartment. My things in cardboard boxes. My key card already deactivated. Everyone here received documentation packets on their chairs, he announced. Evidence of any fraudulent dealings involving your projects. They can pursue legal action individually if they choose. The rustling of papers filled the room as people opened their packets. Gasps and curses followed. Astrid spoke once more. You taught me something valuable, Rory. Document everything. Plan carefully. Strike decisively. So thank you for the education. The screen went dark. Soren set down the mic and walked toward the exit, pausing beside my chair. The prenup you signed has one final clause, he said quietly. Mandatory arbitration. No public lawsuits. No social media statements. No telling your version. Violation results in immediate litigation for the full fraud amount plus damages. He left. Others followed. Within minutes, the ballroom emptied except for security and me. My phone buzzed. An email from my firm. Termination effective immediately. Another from my landlord, my apartment application denied due to financial investigations. My credit cards canceled. My professional reputation destroyed. 5 years of building, demolished in 50 minutes. I stood alone in what should have been my wedding venue, surrounded by empty chairs and silence, holding nothing but the phone documenting my complete destruction. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.